A New Jersey lawmaker plans to introduce a bill to ban adult incest. Assemblywoman Mary Pat Angelini's legislation will make it illegal to marry or have sex with a blood relative, including half-siblings. Violators could face 3 to 5 years in prison and a fine up to $15,000. The measure comes following a report in a New York magazine in which a Great Lakes area 18-year-old says she plans to marry her long-estranged biological father and move to New Jersey.
The Republican-controlled Senate has passed a bipartisan bill approving construction of the Keystone XL oil pipeline. The 62-36 vote advanced a top priority of the newly empowered GOP, which championed the legislation despite a presidential veto threat. Keystone is the first of many battles with the White House over energy and environment. The measure fell short of the threshold needed to override a veto. It also needs to be reconciled with the House version. The bill authorizes construction of the nearly 1,200-mile pipeline to carry oil primarily from Canada's tar sands to Gulf Coast refineries. Critics argue the $8 billion project would spell disaster for global warming. Supporters call it a jobs bill that would boost energy security.
A U.S. official says the FBI has finished its investigation into the police shooting of an unarmed black 18-year-old in Ferguson, Missouri. The Justice Department has not yet announced whether it will file a federal civil rights charge against the former police officer Darren Wilson, but experts have said the high legal standard of proof would make such a prosecution unlikely. Wilson was cleared in November by a grand jury in August 9th death of Michael Brown. A separate Justice Department led an investigation into the practices of Ferguson Police Department remains open. The New York Times reported that the justice lawyers were preparing a memo recommending against prosecution.
The Obama administration is moving closer to its goal of 9.1 million people signed up for the private coverage under the president's health care law. The Health and Human Services Department says at least 400,000 people signed up last week. That brought total enrollment in the 37 states served by healthcare.gov to more than 7.1 million. National figures should be significantly higher because the federal count doesn't include major states such as California and New York that are running their own markets. Florida leads the federal marketplace states with more than 1.2 million people enrolled. Texas has nearly 920,000. The administration is expecting a surge near the February 15th sign-up deadline. The law offers subsidized private coverage to people who don't have health insurance on the job.
I recently met with university students to get their responses on the President's State of the Union address and to get their opinion on the possibility of free college. I just wanted to know if you watched the State of the Union address.
No.
Why, can I ask?
I've never heard of it.
Okay, it's the President's State of the Union.
No, I did not. I had seen parts of it, and in general, I thought he addressed some really good points, especially, raising minimum wage, other aspects that would really help the middle class, and I think it was good. Some of the things he had to say, especially I like that he kind of told it like it is. He didn't just say, right, this kind of needs to be done. He said, this needs to happen. This is how I want to address it. And I really liked that.
By the end of this decade, 2 in 3 job openings will require some higher education. 2 in 3. And yet we still live in a country where too many bright, striving Americans are priced out of the education they need. It's not fair to them. And it's sure not smart for our future. And that's why I'm sending this Congress a bold new plan to lower the cost of community college to 0.
The President mentioned lowering the cost of community college. How do you feel about that?
I think that's a great idea. College students are really pressured with a lot of loans and stuff after they graduate, so I think that's a great idea.
Would you have gone to a university if that was the case, if community college was lower costing?
Probably not, just because I've always been interested in Akron and a big university and going to an actual college campus. So.
Okay, thank you.
I think it'd be great. I think a lot of times colleges are overpriced. I I mean, like for instance, private schools, you know, Oberlin is $60,000, CIM is around 50,000. You know, it's ridiculous. How can they expect students like me to pay for tuition like that? And especially, you know, if you have parents that either have bad jobs or don't have enough money, how is that possible?
Okay, and would you still chosen to go to a university if the community college was lower?
I think yes. I mean, the biggest thing for me was, I mean, of course, I came here for one of the professors, but another reason was because my father worked here for years, so my tuition was waived. However, it's seeing that, I think it's unfortunate that I said, well, I should come here because I can get a free ride, rather than, well, $60,000 somewhere else, you know, where college is all about money now. I wish it would be less about money and more about I can have the best possible experience, but I can, you know, maybe go to another school, but it's less expensive.
Thank you for your time.
The number of people seeking unemployment aid plunged last week to the lowest level in almost 15 years, a sign hiring they will likely remain healthy. The Labor Department says weekly applications dropped 43,000 to a seasonally adjusted 265,000, the lowest level since April 2000. That is also the biggest decline in 2 years. The 4-week average, a less volatile measure, fell 8,250 to 298,500. The latest drop may have been exaggerated by the federal holiday, which likely slowed the processing of some claims. Applications are proxy for layoffs, so the sharp decline means companies are cutting fewer jobs. The 4-week average has fallen 11% in the past year. At the same time, hiring has picked up. Employers added almost 3 million jobs last year, the most since 1999.
California public health officials say unvaccinated people and children too young to be immunized against measles should avoid Disneyland after new infections were linked to the theme park. The cases are the latest in the outbreak that began in late December that has sickened 59 people in the state. 8 others in 4 U.S. states and Mexico have also fallen ill after visiting Disney parks. The new advice came after health officials reported new cases linked in Disney in January. A total of 42 cases have been traced to the parks in Orange County. Most of those affected had not been vaccinated against measles, a highly contagious illness that can be spread through the air. Though the virus has been eradicated in the U.S. since 2000, it can still enter the country through an infected traveler.
Facebook says a widespread, roughly 1-hour outage was its own fault and not a cyber attack. The glitch reported in Asia, the United States, Australia, and the UK affected access from PCs and Facebook's mobile app as well as Instagram. A Facebook statement says it was a technical change gone awry. Lizard Squad, a group notorious for attention-seeking antics online, claimed responsible for the outrages.
Winter is here in full force. Reporter Jeannie McBride gives us tips on how to survive while traveling. Coming up on Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition, Jen gives us the highs and lows of this year's Golden Globe Awards. All this and more on Lights, Camera, Akron.